Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Enterprise Monkey Show with Brandon Burns and Aamir Kitab. How are you, Aamir?
Good. Very good. How are you?
I'm awesome, mate. It's great to have you back for another episode. We've got a jam-packed episode today for all of our listeners and viewers. Today, we're going to talk about a really important topic for startups to consider when getting on their journey for building and developing and executing their applications. So, without further ado, I'm going to announce our topic, and Amir's going to help me explain the journey here and exactly what's involved. So hello to everyone listening on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn and iTunes. Don't forget to review us. And those of you watching on YouTube, welcome back. It's good to have you and hope you're well out there in online land. All right, guys, our episode today is, drum roll please.
Da, 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 da.
And anticlimax, wrong keypad. Here we go. Okay, so the topic is, I have this $1 million idea for an app. An amazing app. So what next?
Mate, there are 4.2 million apps on the App Store.
You're kidding me?
Yeah, there are.
Just on the iTunes App Store?
On iTunes and Google Play Store combined. So there are 2.2 on App Store and 2 on the Google Play Store. So it's like 4.2 million apps out there. And 95% of those apps are zombie apps, which means they never make any money. They are not installed. They are not even found on apps like App Store searches. So which means there are 95% people who actually wasted their money and time and efforts and a lot of things creating these applications.
Wow.
So
awesome. If
you have got $1 million app idea, all you need to think about is, are you really solving a problem through that application?
Gotcha. Okay, so with a sheer volume, like a massive amount of apps out there in the marketplace, how are you going to stand out? And what you're saying is, how much of a big problem are you solving?
Absolutely, because people think that making applications is easier and it's easy to make money through the application.
Gotcha.
But it's a very, very competitive market. And unless you understand your niche, understand your customers, and understand what problem you are exactly solving through your application or what need you are serving through that application, whether it's a game, it's a transport app, it's a hospitality app, whatever industry you are in, what problem specifically are you trying to solve would actually matter and make your app stand out from everything else.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to hold you right there, Aamir. This is great stuff. We're going to get right into it. But a very quick question. On average, and this is really important for people listening and watching, on average, how many apps do we all store and access and use regularly on our smartphones?
So there was a research done on identifying how many apps a person stores on their mobile phone, and it's generally 26 apps on every person's app store.
That's it?
That's it, yeah. Because
26 apps. Okay, well, that sounds about right. I feel like I don't think I'd have that many apps on my phone, actually.
Absolutely, because your phone comes up with a limited space, limited battery, limited bandwidth, and that's why a person is restricted and very choosy when it comes to installing the application, but also keeping those apps on their phone.
Okay, so not only are we competing with 4.2 million apps, but we're also competing with people's attention that doesn't really go beyond about 26 apps in total. And let's not forget that some of the main apps that would be on someone's phone are Facebook, Instagram, Google Maps.
WhatsApp.
Correct. Okay, so, all right, so we've got $1 million idea for an app. So we've just woken up in the middle of the night and we're like, oh my God, I have the most amazing idea. This needs to be an app. So talk me through the very, very first step. What's coming to my mind is it putting a plan in place? Is it understanding how you're going to make money out of this app? Or is it a step before that, and is it understanding whether an app similar already exists?
Right. So the first step when you are thinking about an app business or app startup is to actually think about the business model. Mm-hmm. So Eric Ries and Steve Blank have put together a model called Business Model Canvas.
Okay, hang on. Canvas. So Eric Ries, spelt R-I-E-S.
Is it? Yep.
Yes, and Jeff...
Oh, so it's Steve Blank.
Steve Blank, sorry. And it's called Business Model Canvas is the book.
Yeah.
All right, check that out.
So it's basically a tool. So Steve Blank is the founder of the whole lean startup methodology.
Gotcha.
Where he actually developed a process of how to go about your startup.
Yep.
And Eric Ries is one of the students of Steve Blank who actually went and created a canvas or a tool for people to... It's a one-page business plan model, which takes away from, when we used to study business, there were like 30, 40-page business plans. You don't need that anymore. You need that one-page business plan. You need to fill that out, and you put in all your hypotheses in it.
Okay. All right. So what you're saying is it's actually not that daunting to understand pretty quickly whether an app is going to be worthwhile and is going to serve a purpose and is going to be a success. So just talk me through quickly, is there a template available online that people can readily find for this business model canvas, this one-pager?
Absolutely. So it's called the business model canvas or lean canvas. And it's also, we have provided a link of that on our website as well.
Okay, we're going to share a link to that on this podcast so that those of you watching can readily access that.
Yeah.
How long does it take to fill out and to understand if your app's going to be, a hit?
So this business model canvas is a living document.
Yes.
So you can actually sit and fill it out in 1 to 2 hours. But what you do is you don't need a rigorous research on the start of it. You start by writing your hypothesis on it, and then you test it as you go forward. Okay. So even the startups that are in like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the track, they have this business model canvas as a living document, and they update it every week.
Great.
Because at the epicenter of that business model lies a question, which is the most important question that you need to ask about your app, which is what value proposition it is providing to your customers.
Okay.
So who are your customers? And not everyone can be your customer. So who are your customers, and what problem are you solving for them, or what value proposition are you providing to those customers?
Okay, so the really good point you raised there is, and look, we've all heard of this concept. It's nothing new. However, it does ring true, and that is, are you a painkiller or are you a vitamin?
Absolutely.
So for those watching, you probably understand the concept. We'll just reiterate. So a painkiller is someone who is coming up with an idea or a solution to a problem that's taking away pain, whether it be convenience, whether it be expense, or whether it be just sheer inability to do something as easily as someone may wish. A vitamin, on the other hand, is a value add.
Absolutely.
So I guess to a degree, it's a less appealing proposition to add value in a scenario. However, there's still a market for it. So what I'm going to ask you, Aamir, is can you give people listening and watching an example of an excellent startup or app product that's a really good painkiller, and on the other hand, an excellent value add vitamin style app or startup?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the absolute painkillers is, everyone gives this example, but it's my favorite example again. Uber is an excellent example of a painkiller.
What's the pain that's been eroded?
Well, we all remember the times when we had to call taxi. We had to sort of call the taxi company.
We might not get through
online.
on the phone. We might get message back. We might not get picked up at all.
Yeah.
Then we have no say over the price.
No, it was really painful process. Whereas Uber actually transformed the whole industry by allowing and empowering you to actually get the taxi whenever you need, but also empowering people to earn extra income while they are working on different jobs, which means
it's almost a painkiller and a value add, because it's killed the pain of inconvenience of not being able to get a cab, but then it's also empowered and added value to individuals who may wish to earn additional income from driving an Uber in their spare time. Okay, cool. So talk to me about a startup or an app that's more of a value add, a vitamin.
Yeah, so like if you think about some of the great startups, they some people might see them as a value add or a vitamin, but from my perspective, if any startup can only be successful if it's a painkiller. Mm-hmm. So a good example is a technology company called Atlassian that sort of developed
Atlassian.
Atlassian,
so that's the Australian,
that's an Australian company.
Mike Cannon-Brookes.
Yes, and it's unicorn. So it's a $1 billion company. And so they started by solving an issue or a problem for the developers, which is they were not able to manage their projects easily. But so some people could see it as a vitamin or a value add, but it was a huge problem for the developers. And as soon as developers found that there's a tool that exists, they started sharing it and spreading it into the community.
And this tool is called
Jira.
Do we use that in our business?
Yes, we do.
Unreal. Yeah. All right. So, so that's a vitamin style. So basically what we're getting at there is no matter what your startup or your idea is, you must be solving a problem or improving the experience of people that are currently trying to do something in their day-to-day life or in business that can be done better.
That's right.
All right. Yeah. So we've got our $1 million app idea.
Yeah.
We've established that the first thing to do is to understand in one page how this business is going to look and whether it's going to address the key things around solving a problem.
Right.
Okay, so what's the second step you need to take next after you've had your idea and you've completed your business model canvas?
Absolutely. So the second step that you don't need to take and then you shouldn't be taking is to spend all your lives earning and saving in developing an app, a fully fledged app developed.
Okay, so you're saying this is not the next step, but this is something that a lot of people do take as the next step.
I see a lot of people doing it all the time. I've got an excellent app idea. They hire an app developer and like spend thousands and thousands of dollars in developing an app, getting an app developed.
So what's the alternative?
So alternative is to think about it is from an MVP perspective. MVP is basically a minimum viable product, something that you can develop cheaply, easily and quickly, something that's unfinished that allows you to test your product in the market. Because what happens is no matter what you are going to build, as soon as you put it out in the market, your business model is going to crash because you will see a lot of market forces, market changes, market feedback where you need to alter the application. So instead of thinking that this is how my app is going to work and just putting it out to the people, what we need to do is develop a small minimum viable product, put it out to the market, and then take their feedback and then develop the further application according to their feedback, which means you develop it with the customers, not for the customers.
Okay, so an example of that is you don't develop the entire app, rather you develop potentially the most important feature that you might think would be relevant to the market when releasing. So an example with Uber could be they may have launched initially with just the ride-sharing ability, not the ride-sharing ability, just the ability to book someone to come and pick you up and drive you somewhere.
Yep, definitely.
But they may not have released the features with regards to ride sharing or the ability for Uber Eats and people to be able to order takeaway food and then integrate with a restaurant and that type of thing, yeah?
Absolutely.
So they let the market drive the demand for the next most important feature.
Yeah.
Okay, but obviously with that comes the notion that you are embarking upon developing a part of your app and you are embarking upon making your app workable. So I think what's important to come out of that point there is set a goal for an MVP. So set a goal for one particular feature of your app to be live and functional and usable so that you can have something, rather than saying, I want to build this $1 million app that's going to cost me $2 million to build and you never finish it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because one of the other notion that a lot of business people have is before embarking on a startup journey, I need to do a lot of research. So you definitely need to do some desk research, but again, any amount of desk research is not sufficient to validate an idea.
Yes.
To be able to validate an idea, you need a small minimum viable product that you can put out to the market and test.
Yes.
So, which means that you shouldn't be spending huge amount of money in just doing the research and doing the market research. Instead of that, spend that money in developing something as simple as a landing page, run some Google AdWords and test this concept in the market.
So what you're saying is with your app idea, before you spend too much money on developing a massive application, you want to see if there's actually an interest and an appetite in the market for your product and your idea.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. On the other side of that, what I wanted to ask you is the advantage of launching with an MVP, does that also help with attracting investment? So does it mean that you can get to market quicker with an application that's live and working with a particular feature, and an investor can see that not only have you got an app that's working and is live, but also we can see if people are participating and interacting and downloading the app and using it and finding value in it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So if you go to an investor and ask for investment, like if you go with a very cool pitch and you've got an amazing idea and you go to investor and you ask for an investment pre-MVP, which means we don't have any minimum viable product to show to them, your valuation would be probably, especially in Australia, would be spending somewhere around $500,000 or around that. But if you are able to develop a minimum viable product by spending $10,000 to $20,000 and you put it out to the market and then you go to the investors, you can expect an investment at a valuation of 1 million or more. So you see that huge jump and leap in the valuation that you get for your startup if you are going after a minimum viable product for investment.
Okay, so for startups and entrepreneurs listening, and this isn't discounting people who may wish to invest their own capital into the app and do it full on, which is totally fine. But what you're saying there, I think, is that it's much more attractive to someone who's wishing to invest in your business if they're investing in something that's already live and working, rather than a founder coming to them and saying, please give me money to finish my app.
Absolutely. That's
okay.
fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. So,
and apart from that, a point on the people that have money, like have huge savings to develop an application as well. While you are developing an application, it's an iterative, long process, and then you have to spend money on the marketing as well. So it's important to think about a funding strategy, even if you have money to fund the development of the application, because you are going to need that money at some stage. So whenever you are thinking of a startup, thinking of an app idea, think about the investors, because getting the investment is not only a good exercise to get the money, but also a good exercise to have the expertise on board, have someone to actually be able to vet your ideas and help you move forward.
Perfect. Yep, excellent. So what you're saying is the quicker you can entice someone to not only invest in your business, but also to mentor you and to help steer you along a path that maybe they've already experienced is key.
Absolutely.
All right. So from this, I'm taking that we've got at least 3 juicy points to consider about what to do next once you have an idea for your app. Aamir, are there any closing thoughts or final things to consider as a next step when you have an app idea that we maybe haven't covered just yet?
I would probably say, again, business model canvas is the key, because it's an exercise in itself. It covers the research and everything.
Yes.
So do that. And before doing that, talk to your potential customers. Like if you think this is going to solve a problem, just go and talk. If you're going to develop an app for the teachers, at least talk to 5 or 10 teachers.
Yes.
Look into their eyes, and when you talk about the problem and the idea, see their pupil dilate.
Yes, get the feedback.
Get the feedback.
Workshop the idea. All right, so that brings me to the next point, and this is a bit of a shameful plug, but I must mention it because it's something we've implemented recently for our clients and our prospects, and it works an absolute treat. So for those of you out there maybe considering making a move and getting started on your app, and perhaps you want to talk to myself, Aamir, Enterprise Monkey about that idea, we strongly recommend as a first step a 2-hour workshop. Now, what this involves is a business canvas, competitor research and analysis, scoping work with you to understand how you're going to monetize your app, your business, who are your main competitors, how is this going to be scalable, and is the offering and the solution of solving a problem enticing enough to people to say, yes, I want to use this, I want to download this app, I want to have it on my smartphone. So for those of you listening and watching, it does sound like a shameless plug, but we do this with each of our clients because it just works a treat. We believe in it so much that we actually hang our hat on the fact that if you do the workshop with us, we actually credit the amount that the workshop costs back off your app development build if you choose to progress with us. It's just, we believe in that step of the process so much because it saves you, the entrepreneur, the startup who wants to focus on delivering a great product, it saves you the hassle of embarking upon this journey blind and not knowing. Yeah. And before you know it, you spent thousands of dollars with a developer and you're never sure when your project's going to be completed and finished. So we can't recommend that highly enough. So if you want to find out more about the workshop, get in touch with us. We'll have a similar conversation like we have now. We'll spend 2 hours with you and give you a summarized strategy for how you can build your app moving forward, and most importantly, turn it into a proper business, that's scalable. So that was our episode on I have $1 million idea for an app and what next. Any questions, please send them through. We're more than happy to speak with you offline, and any suggestions for other topics and other episodes, you're more than welcome. But for now, that's Brandon and Aamir on the Enterprise Monkey Show, and we'll see you all on the next episode.
Bye now.